Now been 10 days since Hurricane Helene hit the southeast U.S. and government groups are still working on grasping all the damage. Today, FEMA sent teams out with search and rescue crews to look through Asheville's River Arts District, once a thriving cultural center now submerged under feet of water. Right now, Helene's death toll has climbed to at least 227 Americans, making it the second deadliest storm in the U.S. behind Hurricane Katrina. And as those crews work to clean up in Asheville, some people from out of state, including right here in Lexington, have been pitching in time and supplies. WKYT's Jessica Umbro spoke with one Lexington business owner who said it was important to be there for one of his high school buddies in a time of need. It's our top story at 10.
He just started telling me about how bad it actually was. Started sending me pictures and videos of it. And I saw, like, wow, there's like a significant amount of damage.
Jake Miller of Pipe Surgeon Plumbing in Lexington says when he saw pictures of the damage left by Hurricane Helene sent from his high school friend Austin Ridenauer, who lives in Asheville.
I was like, okay, well, I'd love to come, help out, bring some food and water down and see what else I can do while I'm there. Even in the dark, you could still just see the insane amount of destruction that happened there. Houses that were just flattened, cars that were off the side of the road that were, buried in mud from the rivers overrunning.
Austin says Jake joined an army of local agencies from North Carolina and beyond.
There's work trucks everywhere from every state and water and food distribution points.
I don't know, probably half the license plates I saw were out of state, just people that had trailers hooked up to their trucks or whatever and just bringing in supplies and doing what they could to help the community out.
Where you guys come from?
Jake says he brought down food and water.
He's from Kentucky.
Tried to help with plumbing issues where possible. Austin says it was welcome company during such a difficult time in his community.
He left the other day, and then the other night I went back to the house alone. I was like, man, it was nice to have Jake here with me too and have him helping out with things and all that.
In Lexington, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
Austin says if you're looking to help, he recommends doing some research beforehand because some communities have received a significant amount of basic necessities. He said some areas of need could be batteries, feminine products, diapers, or baby formula. WKYT's parent company, Gray Media, is teaming up with the Salvation Army to help Helene survivors. Just scan that QR code on your screen to donate. The money will go toward food, water, and long-term recovery services. You can also go to WKYT.com or use the WKYT News app for more information.